Hey there, how there, ho there, it's Jeff Goodard. I'm welcoming you to another Stone Cold Hockey video to do with the 1981-82 season and me trying to do the New York Islanders and see if they can win the championship for the third straight year in storyline. I know they did it in real life and added a fourth, but I just wanted to see if I could do it. And this is the 81-82 season, one of the last two seasons that they have actually released. I believe they released this after the 2024-25 season, but yeah, 81-82 and all that, trying to see the Islanders. This is big because it's the first year in a while that the divisions actually mean something. Four teams from each division make the playoffs, one versus four, two versus three, and then the winners of the divisions within the conference face each other for the Stanley Cup, and it would all shine up and all that. So our New York Islanders have only 8 losses, three fewer than any other team. So we are pretty good at that mark. We have 56 points. The Rangers 49, Pittsburgh 38, Philly, Washington are battling tooth and nail for 35 points and all that. In the Adams, Montreal, Boston, Quebec, and Buffalo looking good. Hartford being sluggish. Edmonton, Vancouver, LA, Calgary look like they're going to make it through the Smythe. Colorado's going to be screwed. And in the 16 North Division, it's Minnesota, Chicago, Winnipeg, and T-Dot, with St. Louis and Detroit being screwed over. Of course, after the 81-82 season, there would be a massive change as Colorado would move to New Jersey to become the Devils of the Patrick Division. That put the sixth team in the Patrick Division, and the Smythe only had 4 teams, so Winnipeg moved to the Smythe Division from the North. Of course, previous years there's been the 1-16 for the NHL making the playoffs and all that. The first 2 years of the post WHA era. But yeah, now they go with the divisional stuff. Our great Mike Bossy, 39 goals in 39 games, 1 goal behind Wayne Gretzky, but he could go 50 and 50. Trotz has 30 goals, one of 7 players to get to 30 goals. While John Tonelli, who had a 4-goal game in the last video, he has 28. He's tied for 8th with Moose Messier. Anyhow, points wise, Gretzky's crushing it. Mike Bossy's actually second in points. Tonelli's 6th, which is pretty good. Trotz is 13th. Goaltending, Billy Smith is the third best with, well, he's 16, 2 and 2, but with the goals against it, 267, that's pretty impressive. With Shills Malash, 251, and Danny Heron, 12 and 1, 192. He should be played more often than not. And that's saying something, me being a guy for the Islanders. We have played 39 games. Only the Flyers have played less than half the season. So we in Philly will be doing points percentage wise that could determine a lot of shit. Nothing really changed. We've scored 191 goals. Only Quebec has scored more goals in our conference, and Edmonton has also scored 195 more goals than us. So we are the third highest goal scoring team. Fourth, if you must know, is 183 by Boston. Yeah, Montreal has not scored a lot of goals, but they're giving up the pucks. We've given up 125 goals. We're one behind Minnesota. Minnesota's given up the fewest. Wow. We're 13-3-3 at home, 12-5-3 on the road. Only us, Montreal, and Vancouver have won double-digit games on the road. Edmonton's 5 games below 500 on the road. At home, they're nearly flawless. Highlights wise, we had our biggest win was 9-0 over Flyers. We lost 8-2 once to Washington. Lots of hat tricks because this is offensively minded. 72 hat tricks and all that. We've seen some 4-goal games. Wayne Gretzky scored a 4-goal game against the Canucks in Vancouver, and they still lost the game 6-4. Paul Coffey put up a 4-goal game against Boston. John Tonelli, that's us. Paul Coffey put up another 4-goal game. So he's put 2 4-goal games up. We kind of started that Colorado 14-1. Howard Chuck with a hat trick. Terry Riley. Memorable games. 9 games have hit the 30 mark, the magic 30 mark. Pittsburgh Philly is number 1. Pittsburgh was up 5-1, and they blew it, giving up 5 straight goals to the Flyers. Then the Flyers, the second biggest game, December 6th, 9-5. They were down 3-0 and then scored 9 of the next 11 goals. Colorado shocking Edmonton on home ice and winning their first game. They were down 5-4, but Ketela, Miller, Molowski, and he who shall not be named for obvious reasons. Not because of what happened to Magnuson, but because he was a shitty Leaf captain. St. Louis Islanders, November 26th, in a game I didn't do because I was trying to simulate after a tie, I think. Yeah, we blew a 5-2 lead. Rangers Boston on Halloween night. That's a 13-goal fest. Islanders Calgary, we were up 4-0 on December 12th after 2 periods, and then we gave up 5 straight goals. Millicent sucked that night. Washington, Colorado, also on Halloween night, Colorado was up 4-1 and blew it. Pittsburgh's win on December 16th against Los Angeles when LA was up 3-0. And the ninth game, they hit the 30 mark just this past January 2nd, where we were down 3-0 to Chicago and scored 5 of the last 6 goals to win the game. So we are in January 7th. We are in Philadelphia. And we have the Hatchetman, Billy Smith, and then against Pete Peters, who was pretty good for the Flyers and was the main goalie for the Flyers in the 1980 finals against the Islanders. Langston Quat and a young Pelle Lindbergh are your Flyers goalies as well. We have basically all our players, no like lie through the players like they have Sittler and Bridgman, because Sittler and Bridgman came back. I mean, would play later in the year. Nevertheless, the other is Mike Bossy, the greatest goal scorer that could have been if it wasn't for his back problems. Brian Trottier, great points getter, won a few Art Rosses, won a few. Did he win the Hart? I think he did. And he was helping First Nations out. Clark Gillies, tall, bruising guy who probably some people think shouldn't go to the Hall of Fame. Some people do. John Tonelli and Bob Nystrom, part of the 1980 goal that beat the Flyers in overtime, Game 6. Bob Bourne, still around. Denny Potvin, number 5 on the board. In fact, the Islanders picked him number 1 in 1973 after their disastrous expansion season. And then Montreal said, we'll give you 5 NHL-ready players for Dennis Potvin. And the others told him to stick it where the sun don't shine. Brad and Dwayne Sutter, 2 of the 6 Sutter brothers who made the NHL. Brian, Daryl, Rich, and Ron also made the NHL. There was a 7th brother, Gary, who was the oldest, but he had to take care of the farm while the boys had to go play hockey. Andres Kalor, Butch Goring on the team, part of the first major trade deadline move in NHL history in 1980, being picked up from the LA Kings to help be the number 2 center. Wayne Merrick, Mike McEwen, who was a high-scoring defenseman, but then Colorado picked him up from the Rangers, and Don Cherry almost ruined him. Thomas Janssen, Billy Carroll, Stefan Persson, Hector Marini, Dave Langevin, former WGR, Ken Morrow, part of the American Ice team in 1980 in the Olympics, Greg Gilbert, and Gord Lane. The Flyers with Bill Barber, Kitchener, former Kitchener Ranger, Brian Propp, a great player for Brandon in the WJ, Ron Flockhart, Reggie Leach, the Riverton Rifle, Ken Linsman, the Rat, Tim Kerr, known for his power play goal-scoring abilities, Bobby Clark, still the captain, still around the NHL at the time, Ray Allison, also part of Brandon, Inca Silasalo, Bane Wilson, the bane of an existence, Paul Holmgren scored a hat-trick against the Islanders in the Stanley Cup Finals in 1980, Bob Hoffmeyer, Al Hill, who had a 5-point debut but basically fell off the cliff, Grant Cochran, Tom Gorans, Greg Adams. That Greg Adams? Okay. Mark Patel, Jimmy Watson still around. Brad Marsh, who was known for his 1,000 games, especially with the Senators. Fred Arthur, Bob Daly, and Frank Boff. 3 minutes into the game. There's your Hoffmeyer from Pearl and Barber. That's for Hoffmeyer, right? 2 minutes later. Double hit. 3 minutes later. And then 2 minutes later. Oh, Achilles. Top them up. Props 26 from Hill and Clark. Barrel. 3 minutes later. We score! Holiday Road. Holiday Road. His name's not Clark Gearswell, it's Clark Gillies. His 15 from Dwayne. 2-1. Flyers will take a penalty. Holmgren for 2. Holmgren was the first American to score a hat trick in a Stanley Cup Final. Bossy misses a chance. Ray Allison. Who? And Bossy couldn't take the shot. Bossy wants to get 50-50 again. Aggression? It's a major penalty on Philly. It's Hoffmeyer for 5. So that means we can play 5 minutes. The next 5 minutes, the Flyers are shorthanded, and we can score as many goals as we want. Gillies makes a mistake and almost pays for it. But we score! Dwayne Sutter, his fifth from American Pop then. We tie it up. Well, we scored one goal. One's better than zero. And a fight between Gord Lane and Glenn Cochran. I don't think it really matters. 2-2 after 2, the perfect numbers. The 2-2 train. 1 minute later, I'm damn we get Charlie. It's Trots, of all people. Bobby Clark. Oh, what a... And they score per... Well, this is a power play from Clark and Bain. No help for the Furious. We scored again, Linsman and Clark. Our winning six Let's go from that. Yeah, Clark does it again for Linsman. Well, 5-2, we're dead. Well, Butch scores from Trottier, but that doesn't really matter. Empty net. They can't score, and the Flyers beat us. Damn it. We just sucked. I think we had a winning streak. Didn't we? Yeah, we had a 9-game winning streak. We lost to Quebec, and then I've won 9 in a row. Well, that streak's over. Well, we sucked. Colorado beat St. Louis. Big win for them. So the rules are So the rules are that when I lose or tie, I have to simulate the next game until that we win. And we beat the Flyers 4-2 as Smith beat Pelly Lindbergh. Philly goals by Bain and Sindasalo. Our goals by Pearson, Pata, Tonelli, and Sutter. Bossy's slowing down, man. I think they know who the fuck is going to get the ball every time. Toronto ties on Hockey Night in Canada. We are off on the Sunday. Colorado gets their asses whipped 10-2 by Philly. On to the 11th. We're not playing. On the 12th, are we playing? Are we playing? Wednesday the 13th. We are not playing. We must be on some kind of road trip. Colorado got ass whipped 9-2. There we are. We're in Boston. So Colorado ties Detroit. We're in Boston for this game. And Billy the Hatchet will take on Marco Barron and the Boston Bruins. Big battle there. Rogie Vachon trying to revitalize his career in Boston after failures in Los Angeles. In Detroit, if you've seen. And Mike Moffat, who would be the playoff goalie in '82 for Boston, but fell flat afterwards. So Boston has Rick Middleton. Well, Boston, many of the players from the '79 team, when I coached the '79 Bruins, are on this team. Yeah, the Bruins have played 42 games, and then now they have more ties than they had in real life. Rick Middleton, great player, who the Rangers just gave up for the one of Ken Hutch Sr. Barry Pedersen, a 50-goal scorer, who got traded to Vancouver because the Canucks wanted Barry Pedersen badly and were willing to trade Cam Neely. Brutal mistake. Peter McNabb, decent player who later become a color commentator on New Jersey and Colorado matchups. He died of cancer, unfortunately. Keith Crowder, Taz O'Reilly, Steve Casper, Ray Bourque, the legendary Ray Bourque, wearing number 7 at the time. Bruce Crowder, Tom Fergus, Brad Park, still scoring goals for Boston and making sure that the Rangers knew that they made a dumb mistake getting rid of Brad Park for Phil Esposito. Norma Leville, who was a pretty good prospect. Unfortunately, he suffered a stroke in the 1982 season. In November, was it October 1982? Yeah, he was in a game in Vancouver. Before a game in Vancouver, he had a stroke and had to regain a lot of things. But the best part about Olivier was that in 1995, he actually got a standing ovation when they did that Boston Garden thing. Don Marcotte, decent player. Wayne Cashman, who scored 2 key goals for the Bruins in the game against Montreal. Unfortunately, though, that didn't work out. Mike Gillis, Stan Jonathan's still around. Michael Connor, Mike Krusheletsky. I know he played for the Kings and the Leafs, but I didn't know he played for the Bruins. Mike Milbury still around 2 years after the shoe throwing incident. Brad McCrimmon, R.I.P. He died in the locomotive crash. Randy Hillier, Larry Melnick, Craig McTavish before he went to the Oilers, and Dick Redmond. Boston takes a penalty. It's Middleton. And we score! Born to be wild. His 13 from Denny and Pearson. 2 minutes later. Action, no shot. 3 minutes later. Kenny Morrow. Power play chance? No. I'll take another chance. It's Ray Ford from Middleton and Casper. 6 minutes later. Boston has a chance, but failed. 1 minute later. O'Reilly. Gretzky or power play goal. There's a time for shots and a time for a goal. Number 40 is in the books. That's Mike Bossy. Who's the boss? He is. Tonali's 36 assists. And it's 2-1 Islanders. 1 minute in to the period, we can't score. 4 minutes later. Lovely gets whacked by Clark Gillies. Of course, we would give up. And a poker goal. Middleton from Park. Makes it 2-2. 1 minute later, they tried to break it open. Much later. That's a hit. Nothing else. 3 minutes later, they take a penalty, and it's going to be Park. We're 2. And we score! He isn't a Maverick, he's a Merrick. Wayne Merrick has 8 from Nystrom and Denny. Makes it 3-2. And we score! Tortolini Tonelli. He's got 30 goals now. From Boston and Langeman, 4-2. Boston is going to probably... Yeah, they know the others could choke. So they're going to put Rogie in the net. Uh-oh. Remember, Calgary put Lemelin in the net to replace Reagan, and we blew that 4-0 lead. Deja vu. Another fight. Brent Sutter fights Pedersen. They're goal scorers, both of them. It hurts them more than us. I need to take a penalty. Gord Lane. I knew it! Middleton from Crowd in the 6-1-3. They're going to do what they have to do. 2 minutes later. Much later. The tie. Brad Park from the point from Crowder and O'Connell. 4-4. We're in trouble now. Last moment. Middleton had a chance to sink us and get a hat trick, but he missed. We get a point. Boston did the right move, putting Fashon in the net. And we got complacent. Well, our 4-2 lead turned into a 4-4 tie. Could have been worse. Middleton could have got a hat trick out of it, but we stopped them. But the bad news is it's a tie, so you know the rule. We have got to sim our next game. And our next game to be simmed isn't on Saturday night. Montreal beats Philly on Hockey Night in Canada. Chicago beats St. Louis. Toronto loses to Edmonton. I think that was when Toronto beat the tar out of Edmonton. Was January 16, 1982. Was it not? Well, so we go to Washington. So Colorado's the only team without double-digit wins. And we lose to Washington. Billy Smith losing to Paro of all fucking people. We blew a 3-1 lead. We had Trotz, Bossy, and Nystrom scoring, and then McEwen scored. But Washington goes by Carpenter, Valentine, Norwood, and Carpenter with the hat trick. Well, the hat trick goal that sunk us. Well, Middleton didn't do it, but no, Carpenter did. So we have to simulate the next game. And I don't know when the next one is. Colorado gets their asses whipped 8-0. Oh, we have to play the Battle of New York with the Rangers. Well, we can't because we lost. But we crushed the Rangers 6-1. Billy Smith beat Steve Weeks. Only Ranger goal was by Pavlich. Boston didn't score a goal. They stopped him. 2 goals from Tonelli, Gillies, Potvin, Bourne, and Trotz with the goal. So I guess Bossy won't get 50-50. Not with that attitude, you don't. And our next game is Pittsburgh. Okay, so we play Pittsburgh. Our third and final game is against Pittsburgh. We play 3 per group. Billy Smith and then against Paul Harrison, former Leaf goalie, who actually had to come into action in game 3, was it? No, in game 4 of the quarterfinals against those pesky Habitants. Palmetier injured himself, so Harrison had to play in game 4 and lost in overtime on a Larry Robinson goal. Michel Dion, who I'm surprised Pittsburgh won't put in the nets for this game. He, former WHR, Gary Edwards and Nick Ricci are also there. Well, Harrison was starting when Pittsburgh was looking good, but then they had to replace him for Ricci, and they failed. That famous Flyers win. Pittsburgh has Paul Gardner, Mike Buller, not the comedian, but the goal scorer, Rick Kehoe, Pat Boutet, George Ferguson, Peter Lee, Greg Malone, Rick McLeish. Rick McLeish on the Penguins when he was a Flyer fan guy? No way. Randy Carlyle, this was 82, the year that he won the North, and Toronto regretted getting rid of him. Greg Shepard, former Bruin I had in 79. Doug Shedden, Mark Johnson, part of the American Ice, I think. Paul Baxter, Ron Schutt, Bobby Simpson, Pat Price, Pat Graham, Steve Gatzels, Jim Hamilton, Mario Forbert, Greg Hoffman, Ron Stackhouse, and Mark Shorney. How do we do? Pittsburgh Steelers, Randy Carlyle from McLeish and Ferguson. Ooh, what? Let's go. Hot trot. It's a 33rd from Philly. 6 minutes later, we take a penalty. It's Gillies. Ferguson gets hit, but they get a goal, and Ferguson does score from Kehoe, 2-1. Damn it. And Pot then gets whacked by Boutet. There's a time for goals and a time for revenge. Put the puck, number 42's there. Bossy, who's the boss he is. In game number 45, he's got 42 goals, Gillies, and Trottier with assists. He's lost his goal per game thing, trying to go 50 goals in 50 games. He's lost it, Jigs. He's lost it. And we're tied 2-2 after 1. 3 minutes later. That's with the penalty of Clarkson. Pittsburgh stopped. Shaw had a chance. He had his second chance. 2 minutes later. I'll pop that in Johnson. Ozzy announced it. I said pop that in Johnson. Whoops. Diamond. Nice turn. Scores to go. The New York Islanders have won the Stanley Cup. No, I got it. He scores from Johnson and Brant Sutter. Much better. Let's just make the penalty with Stackhouse. They was going to make it 5-2, and they said, fuck this thing. Nick Ritchie comes in the net. Wayne scores from Tonelli and Gillies. 5-2. And Boston's putting up 6-2. He's like, I can't score goals over here. 4 goals by 4 different players. Fontaine, Nystrom, Sutter, and McEwen. Wow, it shows. Ferguson's getting penalized, and they killed the zone on Tonelli. Damn it. I think Boston won the 5 minutes later. Scott scores the second of the night, 7-2, against a team he would play for a decade later. True story. Much later. Trotz gets the hat trick from Billy to make it 8-2. He outscored Pittsburgh by himself. That's what Trottier does. And we just built a snowman. We shut them down. Trotz with the hat trick. Pittsburgh was up 2-1, but we scored not one, not two, not four, but 7 straight goals. Bossy only getting one, but who cares? 8-2. So the next Islanders game will be having to wait till the next video, and that will be the Rangers. Isn't that back-to-back games or no? No, it's not back-to-back games. Colorado just can't win again. Yeah, Rangers Islanders again. So the summary, we are 7 points up on the Rangers, and it's a fight between Philly, Pittsburgh, and Washington for third place. Rangers. Montreal, 63 points, and then Boston, Quebec, and Buffalo. Buffalo's catching Quebec. And Hartford's got 35 points. In the Smythe, Edmonton doing good. Vancouver and Calgary battling for second. Los Angeles doesn't look good. Colorado really looks bad. Right now we have Minnesota, Chicago, Winnipeg, and T-Dot in the North. With St. Louis and Detroit falling back. But Aussie's only got 42 goals. Gretzky's got 47, but there's 50 games, so he won't get the 50 and 50 mark. Bossy second with 42. Trotz is fourth, only trailing Gretzky, Bossy, and Blaine Stoughton. Tonelli's 11th. We have 16 30-goal scorers. Gretzky, Bossy, Stoughton, Trotz, Lukowitz, Dion, Middleton, Secord, Howard, Messier, Tonelli, Prop, Maruk, McNabb, Neil Broaden, Peterson, Jurgen Peterson. Stastny and Kluche have 29. Kluche was actually got 20 goals in 20 games. He's only got 9 in 30. 9 in 30. Everyone, he has faltered. Gretzky's crushing it, the points lead. He's up by 35 points. Over second place, that's Marcel Dion. Stastny's third with 78. Bossy has 77. 35 points. What? 35 points would put you in 106. JF Sauve. Yeah, that's how you add it. But anyway, Billy Smith still the third best goals against. Heron 15-1. Guy's a buzzsaw, but why isn't Montreal putting him in? They're 13, 11, and 7 without him. Meloche second, Billy Smith third. Melison's 13th, which is okay and all that. Biggest injustice. Well, Peters is below 500. Dan Bouchard has 20 wins, and yet he's got the goals against. Yeah, 7 wins for Greg Millen. He has a better goals against by an inch over Pat Reagan. Who's got the worst? Chico Rush, 475. Bob Sauve, second worst. Al Jansen, third worst. Mike Liut has fallen off the rails since being runner up in the MVP voting, but that's how it is. Anyway, I'm Jeff Diving.